But now I'm joined by personal finance expert Emmanuel and property consultant Alex at Goldstein. It's time for Talking Money. No music, so I don't get music. Jeremy gets money. The section of our show devoted to answering your questions. And today we're discussing if now is the wrong time to buy a house. Any questions you have, give us a call and hopefully, well, no, definitely, Emmanuel and Alex can answer them for you. 0207 862 2222 is the number you need. So, Emmanuel, I guess the very first question we have to ask is it a good time to buy a house? Or should we wait?
Everyone's asking this question, and I always tell people, when it comes to property, you make money when you buy it, not really when you sell it. So if you buy a property at a good price, you're going to make money. And if you buy it at a bad price, overpriced, you're not going to make as much or potentially lose money on it. So the point being is that right now, if you can find a property at a good price, you can buy it. It's just going to be harder to find at a time like this. You've got high interest rates, high property prices. We're seeing a slight decrease in property prices coming down. So it's not I wouldn't say it's the best time. You're not going to see loads of opportunity, but if there is an opportunity, you should take it.
Could you just explain very briefly, and for idiots, i.e. me, what is actually happening to the mortgage market at the moment and why people are not getting the deals they once had available to them?
So what's happened is the Bank of England have increased the Bank of England rate. That's gone up. It's been low for a long period of time, and that's gone up. And obviously with the stuff that the government did in the mini budget, that meant that there was less confidence in the pound, in the economy, and the government's strategy for growth, which meant that because of lower confidence in the mortgage market, the bankers felt like mortgages had to be increasing the rate. So they've increased the rate further. So there's a plan now that what's going to happen is that now I've got clients going from 1% to 2%, now going on to 6%. So this is a big jump. We're seeing £200-300 a month extra, and that depends on the size of your mortgage. So because of that's affecting the market and meaning that prices are starting to come down slightly.
Right, Alex, let's bring you in here because you are a property expert, aren't you? What are you seeing happening? Hi, good morning. Thank you for joining us. What are you seeing happening in the market at the moment where you are?
I think we're certainly seeing elements of hotspots, so to speak, where there is just still this incredible demand, but a shortage of supply. And for that reason, prices are actually sort of being maintained at the moment. I agree with Emmanuel that there are signs that things are slightly softening, but no one I'm speaking with is using the phrasing, there's a property crash. It's not like that. And I always use the analogy with my clients, just saying that use the car type analogy, take your foot off the gas pedal and the car gently slows down. And that's sort of what's happening at the moment. But time will tell. It's still quite early on with various things that Emmanuel mentioned in the economy and the broader context.
Right, we've got loads of questions coming. There's one on social media. This is from Rob. I'm looking to buy a house now, but I'm finding the problem is the chronic lack of supply. Will it get any better? Alex, what would you say to Rob on that one?
Yes, I think you'll see elements of possibly some forced sales coming. I'm certainly seeing a lot of downsizers, but bide your time, and it's all about at the moment, as it's always been, it's your reliability and your security as a buyer in the market. And by that I mean it's, have you got your mortgage arranged? Have you got an AIP? Have you got a sensible deposit amount? Have you got solicitors? Are you in rented? Are you ready to go? Because more often than not, that'll actually get you to the front of the queue. Equally, more importantly, if you can offer an element of time flexibility, time seems to be the ace card at the moment. If you can free up and de-stress the situation. But in answer to the question, I think as we come into early next year, I think you'll just see a bit more come onto the market. So just wait a moment.
Right, interesting. Emmanuel, would you agree? You've been joining us for a few weeks now talking about this situation. Would you agree there that maybe it might be just hold off a bit for now? Or, I mean, this is another question that's coming from Paige in London. She's been renting her property, but now they're selling that property, so she does have to move out. So what advice would you give to her? Should she find somewhere else to rent for a while, or should she try and find somewhere to buy now?
It all depends on her circumstances. She has enough money to buy, but I think what we have to look at is maybe change the area of location that we're looking at, especially if you are looking at town centres or these types of places. to try and buy these places, like Alex was saying, there's such high demand that it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to buy, even if you've got the mortgage and everything, because the demand is so high and they're going so quickly. So we may have to start looking at other areas and maybe looking for potential areas that might be not perfect, but maybe in the future there's development or stuff that's going to happen in them, and look out there. And if you're not ready for that, then you can rent on short-term contracts, or you can rent now, and maybe even just rent a room rather than having to rent out a house to keep your costs low, so that you can still continue to save and build up your money for when you're ready to buy.
And is a fixed-rate mortgage a good idea at the moment?
A fixed rate mortgage is a good idea, so you know your monthly payments, it gives you security, and the plan, it's looking like it's going to go higher, so interest rates are looking like they're going to go up even further, so it might be a good time to lock in now rather than wait until later. And if you're on a variable, you would have seen your payments go up, and then you have uncertainty every single month on how much you're going to be paying at the end of each month.
Right, okay, another question coming in, this one on Facebook, from Sarah. Sarah says, we're looking to buy, but are we better looking up north or instead in the south? What can we buy down here is the same as bigger detached houses in other places? Alex, this one's for you. I mean, you are based up in Yorkshire, aren't you, I believe?
I am. I am speaking to you from Harrogate in North Yorkshire, but again, it depends what you're looking at, because, for example, the Golden Triangle, as it's called here, the Harrogate Leeds York markets, again, the prices have really rapidly increased over the last few years, and there is still that incredible demand. Harrogate, funnily enough, was in one of the national newspapers at the weekend. So this whole mindset of the north versus south divide, the north market, if you want to put it like that, has massively caught up with the south, and there's not that difference anymore, because what I've seen, certainly post-COVID, is a lot of people, I suppose, just really analyse what do they want out of life, what do they want out of their family homes. A lot of relocations from London and the home counties, which has really picked prices up. I've had a lot of international buyers who are obviously buying in dollars. In particular, it's quite a hot topic at the moment and advantageous. So again, they've been coming into the area. Plus, we had a strong local market anyway. So actually, there's not a big difference. And again, going back to Emmanuel's very valid point, again, it's just looking at your areas and finding what you're actually prepared to compromise on as a buyer. But please do be careful. You have to zoom out. Property is an investment, and you have to be in it for the medium to long term.
So it's a question to both of you, just quickly. Is property still an investment? I mean, we've all been, most of us, watching this, and my generation have been used to having property as an investment. I mean, can we still consider that is going to be something going forward, Emmanuel?
Yeah, definitely 100%. Property will always be an investment people like, because they can touch, they can see it, and also not only do you have the growth of the value of the property, you also can get an income from it as well. So it will always be a part of a portfolio and always be an asset that we like in the UK.
Alex, would you agree with Emmanuel on that one?
Absolutely. It's also think about how you can add value, whether that's extending or updating the cosmetics and the length of your ownership. Again, that is key. Property has been always a key investment. It is a key sector within the economy, and that's why often the government look in to try and short circuit things with sometimes a mixed response.
Right, okay, let's go to some of the callers on this. First we have Joanne. You're in the West Midlands, Joanne. What would you like to say?
Oh, hi. I was just wondering, we live in a council house. We've been here for 20 years, so we would have quite a large discount on buying the house. And unfortunately, my dad died about 6 months ago and left me about £60,000. So we would have quite a large deposit as well. I would need some money left to do a lot of repairs to the house. Is it the right time to buy now, or should we sort of wait a while for the housing market to crash?
Emmanuel, what do you say to Joanne? What's your advice?
I think it's impossible to know if the property market's going to crash, where it's going to crash, what area. Sometimes there might be a crash, it might not be everywhere, like maybe more in in London, where we've got extremely high prices in London, it might hit more than other areas. What I would say is that she's in a very unique position where you've got the discount from the government, you've got a large lump sum as well to go in, so your risk is very low. So if you can do it, I would say get on it, because again, even if it does crash in the short term, when it goes up, you're going to benefit through having ownership, and you're not planning to sell anytime soon. And if you've got work to do it, like Alex was saying, that means you're going to add value to it. So it all makes sense for you to do it now.
Right, thanks so much for that call, Joanne, and good luck. Hope it goes well for you. Meanwhile, Tony has tweeted, despite having a £25,000 for a deposit, talking about a deposit there, my son and his partner can't afford to buy a house in Lincolnshire with the current interest rates. They're also worried about how they will be able to afford their rising rent costs. Is there any advice that I can give them? I mean, this is again for you, Emmanuel, I suspect, the finance aspect here.
Yeah, so I think what would be really good is there's something called joint borrower sole proprietor, which basically means that as a family member, you can go on the mortgage with your children and not be an owner of the property, but they can use your income.
Okay, just say that again slowly for me, go on.
So it's called joint borrower sole proprietor.
Right.
So the child will be the proprietor, so they'll be the one that owns the property.
Right.
But you're both going to be on the borrowing. So for the mortgage, if your parents are still working, it allows you to use their income without them actually owning the property. So you still be a first-time buyer, still be able to use the benefits of a first-time buyer, but can use the income. So that can help when it comes to the borrowing amount, but the monthly payments still need to be affordable. So you have to make sure that you can still afford, the monthly payments going forward. But that's a way that a lot of people are using now.
Is that a new thing, Emmanuel?
It's not new, but more people are using it now because it's becoming. So this is why you need to speak to a broker. It's really important. If you do have any slight issues when it comes to buying, speak to a broker. They'll be able to help.
A lot of head in the sand stuff going on at the moment, and I'm guilty of that as well. I don't even look at what the details are of my mortgage. I don't want to know. I know that's completely wrong. Meanwhile, back to another question on social media. This is Matt. Have prices fallen for all property types? Because I've seen some prices rise near me. We complete on our first home next Friday, congratulations, and are happy just to get on the ladder. This is one for you, I think, Alex. What would you say to that?
I think it depends very much where you are looking to buy in the country. I think it's a case, as I said, where I am in Yorkshire. Again, the market has just been incredible. I think some vendors have been caught out, and indeed agents, by looking back 6-8 months ago. The market was roaring away, and they're still in the mindset of pitching prices at that point, and they're having just to sort of gently follow the market. Again, I just come back to the length of time of ownership, and again, if they are first-time buyer, I think they mentioned, in getting into the market for the first time, hopefully they bought correctly and they can add value through extending, updating their cosmetics, staying there a sensible amount of time and waiting for the market, and then exit, as Emmanuel originally said, exit at the right point and make your uplift then, and then you go on to your second and third steps beyond.
Right, okay, well, thank you, Emmanuel and Alex. Thank you both for joining us this morning, and hopefully that's a lot of your questions answered, and thank you for all your calls and questions.